Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I am here to welcome you inside the EntreMD Business School show. Alrighty, so today we have the founder and CEO of EntreMD and the EntreMD Business School. I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing her here today. Alrighty, I'm gonna let her introduce herself. I'm gonna let you know her name's Dr. Una, but go ahead, let us know who you are.
Hi, Dr. Beckford, always bringing the big energy. Such an honor to be on here with you today. I am Dr. Una. I am a pediatrician by training. And, I've had multiple careers in one. At this stage of my career, I am the founder of EntreMD. And this is a company that, solely exists to help doctors build profitable 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses so that they can live life and practice medicine on their terms. So as far as EntreMD goes, we do that through, the EntreMD podcast. Now this podcast, we do that through the books we've written. We do that through live events that we have and all of that. And then, we founded the EntreMD Business School in 2020 of all times. And really, it really is about, working closely with doctors to help them get these results. And so it's a year-long program. Some people joined the school almost 4 years ago and have never left, Dr. Beckford being one of them.
That's right.
And it's so phenomenal to see what can happen with doctors if they just stack on business skills to the clinical skills they already have. So working in the business school, I tell them every Wednesday when we have our live sessions that it's one of my life's greatest honors. And it truly is. It's a magical place. So that's a little bit about me. I've been married for 18 years. I have 4 little ones. I homeschool my older 2 because, again, we want to leave a legacy. So everything that I've learned, I'm trying to pass it on to them. So that's me.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your busy schedule, homeschooling, running multiple businesses, and also being here to mentor and to coach those of us who are inside the EntreMD Business School. Now, I have a question, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are asking too, who are thinking about this. What made you decide to start a business school?
That's a great question. Sometimes, in the beginning, I asked myself that question as well, but really it came from a number of things. So when I started helping doctors, I first started with a 12-week program. It was called the Freedom Formula Masterclass. And some veterans in the physician entrepreneurship space were part of that program, but it was a 12-week program. And if you think about it, Dr. Beckford, that's a 90-day period. And it was so mind-blowing, the wins that the doctors were creating. We're talking about, revenue increasing by 115% in 90 days. You know what I mean? It was so insane. But then after that, people are like, hey, this was great. 90 days, I've learned the things, goodbye. But at that point, I had been an entrepreneur long enough to know it takes more than that, right?
Absolutely.
And so for me and what I want to do, I don't really want to help people just get a quick buck and run away. I want to help people build solid businesses, profitable businesses, build the teams, build it like a business asset so they can, they can walk away from the business if they want and it would still work. I want them to build their dream life at the same time. So it's a little more than you can do in 90 days, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so after that, I did an experiment with a 9-month program. It was called the 6-Figure Club back in the day. And after I'd done that, I realized what we do is so important. The life change that can happen is so phenomenal, and people need time and people need community, right? And so in June of 2020, I came to this point. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it like I mean it. I remember saying, okay, it's going to be the EntreMD Business School. I felt nothing but shame because, as I said, I don't have an MBA, even though I've run a successful business, but I don't have an MBA. Like, who am I to start a business school? But the driver was really helping doctors create results. And so I eventually said, yes, I'm gonna do it. And, June of 2020, we had EntreMD Live, and then we launched the EntreMD Business School. And it is a container that gives me the ability to mentor doctors on a consistent basis, right? So this is weekly and live sessions in the Facebook group, all of these things, give me the opportunity to mentor them. It gives me the opportunity to create a system for accountability, right? Because people ask me, how are you always motivated? I'm like, I'm not. I just have systems of accountability. So I look that way. And so this way, there's positive peer pressure. Even if you wouldn't normally do the things, there's so many things in the container that just help you stay in momentum. And when you turn back and look at the results you created, like it's just so mind blowing. And I also wanted physicians to have a community of physician entrepreneurs because, Dr. Beckford is even more acceptable now. But when we first started, it was not, it's like you went to the dark side, like
and you
my practice is not a business, it's a practice and, all of these things. And I wanted people to have a community where it's normal. It's normal to do things messy. It's normal to do things scared. It's normal to do new things. It's normal to be a physician entrepreneur. It's normal to build $1 million business or multi-million-dollar business. It's normal to take, 2 weeks off, go hang out with your family for no reason. Like it's normal to take a vacation a quarter. It's normal to go through the inevitable challenges of business, knowing that on the other side of this challenge is something magical. That happens in community. That doesn't happen when you're by yourself. Like it needs to be normalized. And so the EntreMD Business School then became this container for all that mentorship, all that accountability, and the community. And almost 4 years later, I'm so grateful that I dared my fears to do that.
And we're grateful that you did that too, because as you mentioned, physician and entrepreneurship paired together, those two words as if it were like, oh, salt and pepper. It was like oil and vinegar. How dare you consider yourself an entrepreneur as a physician? And now it's becoming more acceptable because the physicians realize that we can live this life and we can enjoy what we're doing and we can be savvy business people and we can negotiate. We are people that have learned, like we said, the Krebs cycle. So therefore, I can sit at this table and negotiate with you also. Now, because of those who are in this space in the EntreMD Business School, and physician entrepreneur is now a word that is accepted, and we're out there in the healthcare space, I have these questions. What are you seeing that is happening based on the impact of those physicians who've been in the EntreMD Business School on healthcare itself?
Oh, wow. Well, okay. So I'll give you an example of what happens, right? So in Florida, there's one of the conglomerates that said, okay, we're gonna shut down 50 of our clinics. We're going to shut down 50 clinics. Okay. Now, this is not a physician-led thing or anything like that. But if you think about it, each of those clinics had 1,000 patients on their panel, which usually the panels are much bigger. That's 50,000 patients who are now displaced.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's run by corporations, run by equity, all that. So they can walk away. Physicians, it's hard for us to walk away. We understand the ripple effect of it. Right. Now, imagine if you had, so those 50,000 those 50,000 patients, they're without doctors. Right. But imagine if there was somebody who'd been in EBS, who had learned to build businesses, who had learned to scale businesses in a place like that. They can show up, they can collaborate with a few doctors and say, we will be the answer to this new problem. Absolutely. So when doctors are empowered, when doctors know how to build businesses, build systems, when they understand how to build business models around the help they want to give, this is exactly what the healthcare space needs. It needs the evolved us, the empowered us, right? And so when I look at the school, I see so many private practices that these are doctors, and many of them, Dr. Beckford, you're interviewing them. When they joined the business school, they were employees. They were like, I have this dream, someday I want to start a practice and things like that. Some of them even came in, I just want to work my brand. I don't even really want to build a practice. But now, not only have they launched their practices, not only have they crossed the 6-figure mark, many of them have crossed the 7-figure mark. Some of them have served, like we have people, their panels are 5,000 patients, right? 4,000 patients. We have people who start with 350 patients on day one. They are serving. Now, in the business school, we talk a lot about numbers and money and all, because that's the thing that we don't necessarily want to talk about. The service piece, we have that down packed. But I want you to think about the tens of thousands, at this point, over 100,000 patients who are affected directly by the practices that are started by these doctors who in the beginning didn't know if they could start practices. And not only are they serving them, their businesses are profitable. And, I say this, that means they're bringing jobs. That means that they're paying taxes, like all of those kind of
Yes.
things. And so they are a gift to healthcare. They
Mm-hmm.
are a gift to their community. They are a gift to their team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the ripple effect on healthcare is huge. And beyond that, there are also examples of what is possible. So there's so many other people who are watching them and say, oh, if they can do that, then so can I. So people say, oh, private practice is dead, which, by the way, they've said that ever since I've known about private practice, right? But the truth of the matter is, in 2021, there are 11,000 private practices that either went out of business or sold out to private equity. And here we are, we have people who are building these, we're reversing the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
We're changing the narrative. Are there challenges? Yes. Are there systemic changes that must be made? Yes. But in the meantime, can we thrive? Absolutely, we can.
And that's what we're seeing here within the business school. As you mentioned earlier, with the community and with the systems that's in place, that's helping a lot of these physicians to thrive. And even the additional impact, when you think about someone who has started a business, they're providing work, jobs for their community. So you can see how this is spreading beyond that. And in the social standpoint, they become that beacon of light and example for someone else who doesn't believe that they can. And I've seen it being in the business school. Many people who have entered the business school entered because they saw someone else in that business school start a practice and they didn't believe they can do it, but they dared their dreams and fears. They came in and they themselves are now running successful practices with thousands on their panel. Alrighty, so enough about me. I'm going to bring it back to you. So as we're about to wrap up some of this, what would you say that you have seen the impact of the business school having on the lives of those who have entered? We had a little glimpse, but really let those who are listening, those who are watching, really get an idea of the impact of these people's lives after they've entered the business school.
Man, I mean, like, how much time do we have,
I
right?
know, right?
And this is the thing, right? One of the things about being a visionary is that there are things that you see, maybe even years before people see them, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
when you build a business, the biggest reward will not be the business. It will not be the money you make from the business. The biggest blessing, if you will, would be who you become in the process and the freedom that it creates for you. Like, is so mind-boggling. So yes, we have all these docs who are building, 6, 7, multiple 7-figure businesses, teams, all of those things. But on the other side, the impact on their lives. When we were at our vision retreat, one of the docs walked up to me and she's like, Dr. Una, my business has grown by 400% since I've been in the business school, but I will tell you, the greatest impact the business school has been on my marriage.
Wow.
Because now I've learned to communicate. I've learned to negotiate. I've learned to make my voice heard. I've learned to take more time and invest in the relationships. I understand that my family outranks my business and I'm scheduling my priorities. And when she said that, I mean, like, I'm not much of a crier, but that would have been like a cry moment, right?
Yes.
You have doctors who, like there's one of the doctors now he's like, oh, he always used to forget his anniversary. He couldn't be there for his kids because, he's building the practice and doing the business. And he brought himself to a point where months in advance, he schedules this international trip for his anniversary. I cannot imagine. Like, his wife is probably like, I love EBS, just do whatever you need to do with them, right? Like, forever. Where he wanted to invest time in his kids. He's like, okay, now I see patients till 4 and I'll go get him. I'll sit with him. I'll do his homework. I'll do all of that. And then they started taking vacations. I think every other one was international, every quarter, like once a quarter, every 90 days, spending time with his family and all of those things. We had Dr. Behrens and Dr. Rebecca Behrens. I say this because she said this on the EntreMD podcast. She's like, I was in therapy for years before I joined the EntreMD Business School. And this business school in 1 year has done more for me than all those years of therapy. Now, am I saying give up your therapy? No, but I'm just letting you know that the level of transformation people experience. People come in They're working out more than they've ever worked out. They're eating better than they've ever eaten. They're reading more books than they've ever read. And Dr. Beckford, the scariest in a good way impact is what it does to the second generation, because now people are like, now my husband is reading. Now my husband started a business. Me and my sons are reading the book of the month in the EntreMD Business School and all of that. So it works for their families, it works for their health, it works for their self-esteem, it works for their, like it works for, them, what they're doing for the next generation, it works for their teams. It's a whole package.
Absolutely.
It's almost too good to be true. And that's why this podcast exists, because we can say, why don't you guys tell your story? Because it's so crazy good what happens in the school.
And that's, like you said, why this podcast exists. Because if we kept telling you this, you'd say, I don't know, they're probably just saying it. However, if you are listening to this episode, you will be blown away by all the additional episodes that we have for you, because this is us just giving you a glimpse. But we have the students, the alumni who are part of the EntreMD Business School, who will take you behind the scenes of what goes on in their minds, their ups, their challenges, all that they have overcome. And they have done that here inside the EntreMD Business School. So with this, we're going to end today's episode. But Dr. Una, is it okay if we bring you back?
Oh, absolutely. I live for this stuff. This is our time as physicians. The more, the merrier.
There we go. Well, you guys heard it here first. So I'm going to let Dr. Una off the hook for a few months, but I'm going to bring her back because we have to dig into this mind and find out some more, because we know that if you join the EntreMD Business School, all that you have heard, you've heard why, you've heard her why behind it, you've heard the impact that people within the schools are having. If you want some of that impact, then we are going to welcome you to join us inside the EntreMD Business School. All righty. Do we want to welcome them? Let's give a quick welcome.
Oh, absolutely. And let me just put it this way. One of the best things I ever did was investing in myself so that I can become the version of me that does what I do now. And one of the best things you can do as a physician is say, not just a physician, but you're a physician committed to building a successful business, so you have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. One of the best decisions you can make is say yes to the EntreMD Business School. Your very next step would be to just schedule a call. No pressure. We just want to help you to get to absolutely or absolutely not. EntreMD.com/call, schedule a call. And if this is something that you absolutely want to do, we will be honored to welcome you into a community of unicorn physicians doing amazing things.
Absolutely. We will be honored to welcome you to join us. I'm Dr. Tamara Beckford with Inside the EntreMD Business School show. I'll see you guys on our next episode. Bye-bye.